wherever you are listening, however you may be listening. Thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the Cardinals on SI podcast. I am Donnie Drew, joined every week by my main squeeze, Richie Bradshaw, who does not want to be followed on Twitter, but if you do want to follow him at Richie Brads36. Follow me at Donnie Drew. Richie, we have a lot to talk about. A very, very big game. Chat is already bumping. Hank Hill's in the chat. We got our man Richard in the chat on this wonderful Friday evening.
Our
I am sore from
everydayers.
That's right, man. I'm sore from the gym. My belly is full of Chipotle. How are you, brother?
I'm doing good, man. So nice, easy day before the madness tomorrow. So I busted out my work last night, was up nice and late so I could relax a little bit today. We're gonna bust out some more work tonight, and then it's conference championship weekend tomorrow. And for my Cardinal fans and my NFL draft fans, if you're looking for guys to watch, I got you. Just go to the website and I'm gonna tell you which players you need to pay attention to. But it's going to be a crazy weekend for ASU and a crazy weekend for the Arizona Cardinals. Both teams have their playoff lives on the line in this game, in these games, I should say.
Yep. Nope. I think literally and figuratively, Arizona State with a win over Iowa State in the Big 12 championship, 10 a.m. Our time in Arizona. Obviously, a win will put them into the college football playoff. For Sun Devils coverage, obviously, Richie Bradshaw, follow him, does great stuff whenever he's not shitting on Penn State at Locked On Sun Devils. And then obviously a very, very big game for the Cardinals on Sunday, and that is what we are going to gear up and focus on here. Richie, 2 weeks ago, the Cardinals were coming out of a bye week. They were on a 4-game winning streak. They were on the road to Seattle. Nobody really knew what to expect. They expected a lot of big things from Kyler Murray and company. 2 weeks removed from that, the Cardinals are 0-2. They have lost the lead in the NFC West, and I think it's arguably, not crazy to say, the biggest game of the year is happening at State Farm Stadium for the Cardinals over the Seahawks. Come back to town 2 weeks after playing them in Seattle, and it feels like there's a lot riding on this.
There's a lot riding on this, and this is a potential season-defining game for you. The Cardinals have had a lot of success this year. They're not 6-6 by accident. They didn't have a 4-game winning streak by accident. They didn't win 5 of 6 by accident. But we're now at a point where, hey, the playoffs, they're still in reach, but it's do or die time because you were 6-4 at one point. You controlled your own destiny. Since you came back from the bye week, you've dropped 2 straight, including a really crucial in-division game. This is a must-win game. You can't lose this game if you want your playoff hopes to stay above 10%, because if you beat Seattle, you can split the series, and then from there, you just need to find a win over the Rams or the Niners, potentially both, just to have a better division record, and then you will have more certainty with winning the division going to the playoffs. Well, if you lose to Seattle, your chances of winning the division have plummeted at that point. You would somehow need a better conference record than the Seahawks, and that would give them 3. It might give them 4 conference wins at that point, which would be the best case scenario for the Cardinals, would be to go 4-2. You don't have that tiebreaker. So then you're hoping for the wild card, and the wild card is pretty stacked. So this is potentially the game to save your hopes for going to the playoffs. Crazy.
Yeah, no, crazy. And that sounds crazy to say with 4 full games coming after this, but with how the season has played out, with how recent dominoes have fallen, you do currently find yourself not in the driver's seat anymore of the NFC West. But the good news is that you still control your own destiny because you still play Seattle, Los Angeles, and San Francisco, the final 3 of 5 games out of the year. But that's only useful if you win those games. And, the Cardinals have done a very, very good job of not getting ahead of themselves. They very much take their approach and their process week to week. But I asked Jonathan Gannon today, I'm like, look, has there been any different noticeable energy in the building? And he looked at me and he said, they're pissed off because they know they dropped the ball against the Vikings. They know they dropped the ball against the Seahawks. And, talking to guys in a locker room all week, Richie, like they know this is a big game. They know this is a big opportunity for them to not only prove themselves and right some of the wrongs that they had a couple weeks ago, but to also take control back of the division. For so long, they started 2-4, then they won in that 4-game winning streak. And in that window, Richie, they said, this is our division. It's not the Seahawks. It's not the Niners. It's not the Rams. This division goes through Glendale. It comes through the desert, and they lost that, but they have the opportunity on Sunday to get back at it. We're going to play with the playoff probabilities here in a little bit. I do want to address this. Shout out to DM. Thanks for dropping a comment. I'm tired of the uncertainty. I want to know if Kyler is the guy or not. I think he is. If we go to the playoffs this year, maybe that helps solve the issue. I'm just tired of trying to prove ourselves. I think that's I don't want to say super common thought, but like I do think at this point, like Kyler has done enough to warrant himself.
Stop listening to Bickley and Murata. That's my advice. Stop listening to Bickley and Murata. Kyler's a guy.
I think Kyler's the guy too. I would hope a lot of people would agree that Kyler Murray is the guy. I do think making the playoffs would help solidify that to maybe the rest of the league, since not a lot of people do pay attention to the Arizona Cardinals outside of the state lines. That last sentence, though, I'm just tired of trying to prove ourselves. Unfortunately, man, like that's kind of just like
that's just where
the
you are.
Business the Cardinals are in as an organization. You hit it right on the head.
Yep, and I mean that's not always a bad place to be. Is to be the team that has to prove people wrong, because what that does, it gives you the motivation. And you turn that into the grind, which means when you start winning, you take everyone by storm. Take it from an ASU fan. I do wish that more people had recognized ASU throughout the year and we had been ranked a little bit more, and it would have made our trip to the playoff a little bit easier to get there. But also consider this, ASU used the negative, not emotion, but the press and everything that was given to that program and turned it into wins because they're determined, they're gritty, they want to prove people wrong. That's the same energy we have from this Arizona Cardinals team this year. They had Vegas odds to be like the third or fifth worst team in the entire NFL this year. They're at 500 with a chance.
I thrive off negativity.
Yes, I thrive off negativity. See, that's a thing. And the Cardinals have been able to do that this year. So it always sucks to have people downing you and be negative, and it hurts my feelings. I'm in the media and I cover ASU, and it hurts my feelings when ASU is constantly crapped on, and I imagine it hurts the fans' feelings of the Arizona Cardinals too. But they're making the most of it. So, and who knows? Maybe down the road they'll get the Kansas City Chiefs treatment. They'll get the New England Patriots treatment of everybody loves you and all that good stuff. It comes with time. But right now, you're in the middle of proving yourself. Until you get to that point, thrive off it.
Yep, thrive off the negativity. I think, Jonathan Gannon put it best a couple weeks ago. He said, you don't really have to tell these guys anything. They're professional athletes. And, for as much as players want to say they don't hear everything, they don't see everything, they don't read everything, it is so hard to block out the noise. They certainly do. I have a Kyler Murray story to share with everybody on a very boring off-season day. But people pay attention, players pay attention. I guess the overall point is that like they know what's at stake. You do not need to tell these guys, hey, if you win, you get control of the division back. I think they already know they're professional athletes. You don't need to wind them up like one of those toy cars to get them going. It is going to be what it is. Chat is bumping, so appreciate everybody joining in. Do you want the offense to play better because the defense has been overachieving? I think that's been a very overarching storyline, is that like you would have thought, if you told me the Cardinals defense was playing like they are now, out of their minds, I wouldn't have believed you. With all the injuries that happened preseason, with their schedule, I would not have believed you that they were playing this well and this good. And I think that's a testament to Nick Rallis. I think that's a testament to so many of their role players stepping up. And it just feels like everything's coming together, which is a good thing, but it's also very disappointing whenever you look at the Cardinals offense, which our guy, Jan-Paul Edward D. Deal says, Colin MHA need to figure it out, and Petsing too arrogant to adjust.
Petsing is so weird, man. Are you good or are you bad? Pick one.
He flips the coin.
Dude, he's Harvey Dent. He's like, we win the game, we lose the game. Flip the coin. I'm an agent of chaos. I know that's Joker, but you get the point.
Do I?
I sure hope so. It was a Captain America reference. You got that right.
Yeah, I'm more of a Superman guy anyway. But Reeling this back, man. Um, yeah, it's there's a whole lot going on. What do you guys think we need to do to one, beat the Seahawks, two, get MHA going in the end of the season? We are going to talk about point number one here in a little bit. I do want to say get MHA going into the end of the season. Honestly, man, I think no preseason did him no favors at all. I think, and this is just me. I just my observations. It took him a few weeks to kind of shake the jitters out a little bit. And I mean, he's got 7 touchdowns. Like, you really can't complain about the season Marvin Harrison Jr.'s had, but also like with the hype that was built with him, with what so many people were
Yes,
pegging him to be moving into this year.
including me.
There have been some moments where it's like, man, like I wish Kyler would have been able to find him. I wish Marvin would have been able to come with that ball. I think a lot of it is just getting your feet settled, getting that veteran savviness of what to do and what not to. And I think Greg Olson highlighted that perfectly during the Vikings Cardinals broadcast was, MHJ, he's not necessarily coming back to balls. He's not doing these tiny little things. Whereas, whenever he's not on the field, Justin Jefferson was on the field. And he was doing just so many little minute things to where he eventually did get going. And he was a big part in the Vikings coming back from their double digit deficit. But I'm not worried about Marvin Harrison Jr. at all. I think that Marv is on a very, very good path. I have no reservations about him as a player or him improving. And I just think the more time he gets, the more reps he gets with Kyler on the field, the much better off he's going to be.
So I want to pose this question to GM and for anybody else that's in the chat that is also wondering this. When you say get MHJ going into the end of the season, what does that look like for you? Are we talking statistically? Because I know he's only got 600 yards this year. Are we talking about consistency, like just being really good from a week to week basis? Is it about being a bigger playmaker? It could go a bunch of different ways because he still had a good rookie season. It just hasn't lived up to the hype that myself and many other people's had placed on him. I'm just curious, what does that look like to you for him to
Yeah.
get his season going? There you go. He dropped a comment. Involved on big plays to can you pull that up, Donnie?
Yeah,
Involved on big plays to convert third downs on dead downs that turn the tide of the game. Okay, so that's a really good distinction for where you are placing that line. Is you do want to see that Harrison, sure, maybe he's not a 100-yard receiver every game, maybe it's not a touchdown every game, but you are looking for him to make those clutch plays, converting third and distant or fourth and go, or just getting the clutch catch over the middle, whatever it is that you need him to do, that's what you're looking. So if that's your standard, then I would absolutely agree with you that we still have to get to that point. If it was anything else, there'd be slight pushback. Like there's a lot of fans out there, and it mixes in with fantasy too, of like, he doesn't have 1,000 yards, blah, blah, blah. Just for what it's worth, Larry Fitzgerald didn't have 1,000 yards either. He ended up having a terrific rookie season. This isn't the season we hyped him up to be. It's still been a good rookie season, but I will agree with you that there is still a lot of technical refinement that he needs to be a true complete receiver. I love that Donnie mentioned not having a preseason probably affected him a little bit, especially as a 22-year-old guy. There's work to be done for sure. If that's what your standard is, then I would agree with you 110%.
Yeah, I think when you look at his rookie season in a vacuum, and keep dropping comments, I promise we'll get to all of them. When you look at Marv's rookie season in the vacuum, it's not crazy overly impressive, but you also got to remember, like, Marv is in a predominantly run first offense. He had little to no time to gel with Kyler on the field before stepping into here. And, like, he's a rookie. Like, some patience is needed. Yes. Was he labeled a generational prospect? Yes.
And he is.
Has he fallen short of where a lot of people thought he would be right now?
Yes.
Yes. Are there things he can get better at? Absolutely. I would like to see Marv come down with, maybe more of those 50-50 balls in the red zone. I would like to see that back shoulder connection with him and Kyler established a little bit better. I would like to see him use his hands a little bit more as opposed to his body. But like that's almost like borderline nitpicking whenever it comes to evaluating Marv and what he's doing. So I'm not worried about him. Richie's not worried about him. It sounds like not a lot of people are worried about him. Shout out to my man Lane. I just saw you. Love you, brother.
Lane, what's going on, brother?
Don't understand that
things.
Kyler MHJ didn't play in preseason, shake off the rest and get live game reps. Yeah, and that's a thing. But also, like, the other side of that coin too is that it's week 14.
Right.
Like how much more are we going to talk about it? At what point does it become, hey, you know what? Like, the onus is a little bit more on you guys. Like, let's not try to prop that up. Richard, do you guys think Trey gets 1,000 yards with no touchdowns? That would be crazy. Technically, he does have 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing and 1 fumble recovered, but I would really like to see Trey targeted a little bit more in the red zone. I really would.
That would have to be up there with. So I don't remember what Josh Gordon did in 2014, but where I'm going with it is he had a ton of receiving yards and didn't get into the end zone. I am curious what the record is for most receiving yards without getting into the red zone. Real quick, Brian, what is my bedtime for tonight? Well, it's pretty much as soon as my work is done. So after this podcast, I still have 10. Oh my God, 2 articles to write for Mr. Druin. I need to set up some content for tomorrow, and I got to tune into the Mountain West Championship game and make sure that UNLV wins.
Really quick.
Totally random.
Do I have red hints in my hair? I was talking with good friends of the podcast, Tyler Drake, Arizona Sports, and Bo Brock, PHNX. I was talking with them today, and they said there's a little bit of auburn in my hair. I don't see it. I've been told by multiple people there's like a reddish tint to it. Maybe the camera doesn't show. I don't know. I don't know.
Was it in person or was it on?
In person.
Okay.
It was after JG's press conference.
When I see you tomorrow at our buddy's house for the ASU game, I will take a better look. I've never noticed it before, but I don't know. Chat, what do you think? Type of 1 if you think that Donnie Druin is secretly a ginger.
Secretly.
Well, yeah, you can't just come out and say that.
He's getting targeted. It's more about MHA's consistency. I do think him being targeted a little bit more would help. Because, like, especially as a rookie receiver, sometimes you just need the ball to go your way. You need the ball to hit your hands to really build that confidence. That's something, for example, like Malik Neighbors hasn't had to deal with a lot because he gets targeted like 12 to 15 times a game, I feel like. Brian says, need Marzoro to evolve. It seems they've made him.
That's one of my problems with Petzing. That's one of my
I'm glad they're not sending him immediately down the field on just these like go routes anymore. It seems like they are getting a little bit okay, don't do this to me. Please don't do this to me.
We got a 1 in the chat.
I hate this.
You are a Wesley brother or a Weasley brother. You are a Weasley brother.
Okay. Anyways,
amazing.
I fully regret bringing that up.
You should. That's on you. I hope it gets better.
Shout out to One Airborne. He technically does have better numbers than Larry. And like, not to compare the two, and granted, there's been
and that wasn't my intent. That was not my intent.
I know. There's been so many comparisons between the two, and I do want to say, like, patience is needed. They are 2 very different receivers, but both came in as high-profile guys who maybe didn't put up gaudy numbers right away. Patience. I'm not saying Larry turns into. I'm not saying Marvin Harrison Jr. turns into Larry. But that being said, there's a lot to like here. And I think just patience is needed.
Yes.
Having an actual wide receiver 2 would help open more.
Whoa. Lane, I know where you live.
Hold on.
I know where you live, dude.
Mike, I don't know if I know where.
Better not be Michael Wilson slander.
This is not Michael. That is Michael Wilson slander. I do agree
on site
that Wilson is not the best guy at getting separation, but that doesn't matter when you catch every 50-50 ball thrown to you in every possible moment. Michael Wilson is very underutilized in this offense. And shout out Alex D'Agostino, one of our writers on staff for SI Cardinals. He texted me like 2 days ago, and he was like, do you think they should just swap roles with Marv and Michael Wilson? And the more I thought about it, the more like, like that kind of makes a lot more sense, just in terms of like how they are used. More Reggie, guys, why did I say that, man?
Okay, I love you.
No.
Just keep the trolling going. I want more comments about this.
Need more Marv double moves, play
I
him in
need
the slot so they
50-50.
can't double him. So like that is the thing, Brian. Just going back to a lot of the attention that Marv gets defensively, he commands a lot. I think maybe I wasn't ready for the actual attention defenses were going to give Marvin Harrison Jr. until week 1, whenever we showed up to Buffalo, and the Bills are like, yeah, there's 2 guys on him at all times. We haven't seen him play a single.
Except that one play. Except that one play.
For 99% of the game, there's going to be 2 guys on him.
Buffalo's like, they're not even going to throw at him. And guess what?
They didn't.
They didn't.
They didn't.
Richie Bradshaw was in coverage on that play.
Wilson gets the most separation on the team that's in the higher part of the league. That's probably fair. I have not dove deep into the numbers, but whenever I think of Michael Wilson, I do think of him as just a tough contested catch guy and a guy you can pretty much target at any moment in the game. He's going to come down with it. Yeah. Chat's bumping. Love it. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Friday afternoon. We are here to talk some Seahawks and some Cardinals football.
Oh, yeah.
I do have the
whole point of this.
Yeah, I guess, man. We're just vibing, man. I really can't complain.
Friday night, baby.
So this is on the New York Times website, how the Arizona Cardinals can make the playoffs. It's a fun little machine. I'll have to toss the link into the bio after we're done, so everybody at home can play with it. But basically, you click different results, and it gives you the certain percentages to make the playoffs, and like this, and that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, super cool. So right now they're kind of hovering at like 58% to make the playoffs with a win. With a win over the Seahawks, it would jump to that. If they lose, 10% Richie Bradshaw.
See, and that's what I said earlier, is it feels like 10% is probably your best chance if you lose this game. Because it's a tough wild card race right now. You pretty much know who your 3 wild cards are for the rest of the year unless something catastrophic happens.
Yeah. So, you talk a lot about like, is this game a must win? Is it too early to call it like do or die territory? The numbers certainly would lead you to believe that this is a gotta have it game. Talking with players, listening to coaches throughout the week, Richie, I will tell you the Cardinals are very aware that this is also a gotta have it game. And I would be willing to bet the Seahawks themselves also acknowledge it too. A win for the Cardinals would put them back in first place. 4 games left. You can see right here, they would be tied, but they have the better division record. And they also still do play the Rams and the Niners next in the last 4 weeks. Gives you the tiebreaker over them. The Seahawks play the Vikings and the Packers the next 2 weeks. You play the Panthers and the Patriots the next 2 weeks. No NFL teams are slouches any given Sunday, but you like your chances of winning more games and to see how the Seahawks do over the course of the next 2 weeks.
Yes.
It's kind of,
and it's pivotal you win those games too. Classic case of any given Sunday. And even though the Panthers and the Patriots are going to be picking very high in the draft, those are teams that have been competitive just about every week. I mean, the Panthers went to the wire with the Chiefs. The Patriots have been a thorn in the side of a lot of teams this year. So you could put them down as like easy wins if you want. I'm certainly not. These are games that the Cardinals need to be 100% prepared for, or it could bite them in the you-know-what.
Ooh, bite them in the you-know-what. So, I mean, let's say like the Cardinals lose, but they like win out. Still, like if you go 4-0 after losing to the Seahawks, you're still looking at like a 46% chance. You basically need the Seahawks to lose their last 3 out of 4, which is not improbable. But I think you say it best all the time. If you leave destiny in the hands of other teams, you're probably not going to like.
You're not in a good spot.
Yep. But it also flips at the same time too, because I mean, beat Seattle, right? Let's say you sweep your next 2 games. No, that's not what I wanted to do. And then you split with like the Rams that are 49ers. Like you're still in a good spot. You're still in a very, very good spot. Right. I'm curious to see what the numbers look like. What? You said wait?
No, I said right. Like agreeing with you.
Oh, okay. Good. The first
It's not uncommon. I think redheads have a lot of hearing problems.
You know what, man? All right. Anyways. You ruined that for everybody, so congrats. So
you started it.
It's a big game.
Gaslight me.
And I finished it. Um, I'm not gaslighting you. You're acting crazy right now. Do you hear yourself?
Gaslighting's not real. You made it up because you're crazy. If you get that reference, drop a 5. Put a 5 in the comments. You get that reference.
Are we giving lotto numbers out? What are you doing?
Dude, can you keep it to yourself? I might be trying to help the fans out here.
Fans.
Look, if you're not going to give out a Marvin Harrison jersey, that's on you.
Listen, but I legally can't. I legally cannot buy a Marvin Harrison Jr. jersey to give away. I would love to. I would love to make somebody in the state of Arizona happy with a Mitch Shea jersey. I legally can't, brother. A win for the Cardinals puts them level with Seattle, but gives them a tiebreaker with the division record. Basically clears the path for them to move into the playoffs at their discretion. A loss pretty much all but not guarantees, but there's a lot they would need to have fall in their favor for them to bounce back and make the playoffs, even if they go 4-0 over the last 4 games. So it's a lot, man. It's asking for a lot for them to actually pull through and do what they need to do. But big game, do or die. You already answered it, but go ahead and answer it for me one more time. Is this a must-win game?
It has to be. And here's the thing. Every game's a must-win game. Yeah, of course, you need to win all your games. Certain games have more weight, more value, and more impact on your season than others do. Look at the last 5 games of the year. Yeah, every single one of them is must-win. Are you telling me that the Panthers win means as much as the Seahawks? No, not even close. This is a must-win game. The last 3 division games are must-win, but the difference between the Rams and the 49ers game is the Seahawks are your direct competitor to win the division. That is what separates the Seahawks game from the final 4 other games. They all have value. You need to win as many as you can, preferably all of them. But again, this game has the most value remaining in the season. What am I looking at?
Yep, it's a tweet from Aaron Chat. Says Seahawks and Cardinals by far the most important game of the week for the playoff picture. In their Seahawks win would make the Seahawks a playoff team 62% of the time. Cardinals loss dropped them down to 17. With the Cardinals win, it would be 71% for Arizona and 11% for Seattle. All the numbers say do or die. All the numbers say it is must-win territory.
It's 4th and go, baby.
Well, the bad part about that is that the last time the Cardinals were on the 4th and go, they kicked the field goal.
At least it's Chatter Island.
At least it's Chatter Island, that is say.
Yeah.
Brian, brother, we're going to do something for you.
Is Brian the guy?
Brian has been on my ass about this jersey since I did it. And I love it. I love it. I cannot do anything on Twitter, nothing, without him bringing this jersey up. And I absolutely love it because sometimes I forget and Brian will tweet back at me and be like, can't wait for you to give that Marv jersey out. And I'm like, I promised that. That is absolutely correct.
If it makes you feel better, Brian, the other day when I was hanging out with Donnie, I snuck into his arts and crafts room that he doesn't want people to know about. And there is a white shirt and he was sewing on numbers to it. And it said Harrison, but it was missing an R. So he's got to go back and work on that a little bit more. But that's where we're at. He's doing his best.
Yeah, no,
it was awesome being on this podcast one last time with you guys. Really appreciate all the connection we've made. Just remember when I'm gone, because Donnie inevitably fires me, I always love to hear.
You can't fire, I quit.
Well, you can't quit because I quit. Drop a 7 if you want me to quit.
No, stop with the damn. I'm tired of you. Anyways, here's an injury report for this week. If
I see a 7, I'm going to be pissed.
Elijah Jones is out with an ankle injury. He had his 21 practice day window moved up really quick. Nice. Had his 21-day practice window opened this week to return from injured reserve. Naquan Jones and Dante Stills are questionable, although they did practice each day this week. Kelvin Beachum, Keitrell Clark, and the biggest name on there, Darius Robinson, removed from the injury report, are good to go. They do have the green light ahead of Seattle. Moving on to the Seahawks injury report. I'm not going to pretend like I know how to pronounce Stone's last name.
Forsyth. Don't overthink it. Forsyth.
Okay. He is out with a hand injury, even after being a full participant each day. Michael Dixon, their punter, they did sign a backup punter to the practice squad as an emergency, just in case he can't go. And then Kenneth Walker the third, Richie, running back, did not practice Thursday or Friday. If you talk to people around Seattle, they don't love his chances of playing on Sunday. That would relegate him to the bench. And then Zach Charbonnet who had an elbow injury, but he was a full participant.
Looks like
Really
DK is
quick.
good to go. I know that was a question.
Yep. DK, who he didn't practice on Thursday, that race minds, but he was back to being a full participant on Friday. But I mean, like Jalen Darden popped up on the injury report due to personal reasons. Trey Brown popped up on the injury report on Friday. There was Abraham Lucas saw his status downgraded from full to limited today. A lot of guys on the injury report for Seattle. A lot of them were taken off.
That's been their whole season.
They do have the green light, but dude, like, can you just share really quick how big that loss would be, or how little it would be if Kenneth Walker does not play on Sunday?
I mean, if Kenneth Walker doesn't play, look, Zach Charbonnet is a quality player. He's not an elite player. I loved him coming out of UCLA, but I mean, his uses are kind of few and far between. 3.5 yards per carry this year. He does have 5 rushing touchdowns, but that's a lot more opportunity than it is him being an elite football player. His longest carry of the year, Donnie, is 13 yards. This is not a big play weapon out of the backfield. So you take away Kenneth Walker, they are significantly worse running the football. The bad news is this is a really good passing attack. Geno Smith is one of the leaders in passing yards this year, even though it's 13 touchdowns to 12 picks. I mean, they air it out. Cardinals saw that firsthand. Jackson Smith and Jigba has very quickly become not just the number 1 target for Seattle, but one of the most underrated number 1 receivers in football. DK is going to suit up for this game. Tyler Lockett's going to suit up for this game. They're still going to air it out, but being able to limit them to passing the ball instead of having to worry about a player of Kenny Walker's caliber being on there, that is a big deal. Yep. Now, that being said, I wouldn't look you in the eye and tell you that is a death sentence for Seattle. Like, if he's announced out, I'm not going to go, oh, yep, Seattle lost for sure. That's not where we're at, but their chances are significantly worse. But you're talking about taking an entire equation out of the game. Keep in mind, Kenny Walker's not been efficient this year either, 3.7 yards per carry. This is already not a great rushing team. You take out their best runner by a mile, they might be one-dimensional.
Really quick, Brian says they're off the injury report. How healthy are they really? We are at that point in time of the year where everybody's banged up. You know, like right. Everybody is dealing with something.
Long season.
That long season. That being said, if you're the Seahawks, you don't love to see half of your roster on the injury report.
Dude, Brian also says, for them.
If no Walker, take Garrett Williams. 2 picks over Geno from your lips to God's ears, brother.
I was going to say, you're talking to the Garrett Williams fan club here. So.
Yes. Ski Bum, thanks for checking us out, brother. I hope you're doing good. Seahawks have McIntosh and Alani as well at running back. Either one is capable of big runs.
Doesn't look like Halani's had a carry this year. McIntosh, 4 carries, 16 yards, along of 6 in 12 games. So they just don't bring him out there. But, sure. I mean, that is a body to keep in mind. So there's no stats on Halani. So names to keep in mind. Shout out. Is it Ski Bum?
Ski Bum.
Ski Bum. Thank you.
I mean, Richard said, is Dortch not getting time because of how many tight ends we run out there? I would imagine that's a factor. Dortch sometimes loses out to a numbers game because when you do roll out those 12, 13 personnel sets, you are going to have Mike Wilson or Marvin Harrison Jr. out there on the field.
He literally doesn't have a catch this year. He doesn't have a statistic. Greg Dortch.
He had a target a couple weeks ago that a lot of people thought he should have caught. But yeah, his role has been very relegated to just special teams. And
see, I didn't know that.
I don't think he's having the year a lot of people had hoped he would have. That being said, that happens when you have just a lot of guys. I wasn't confident in his overall production before they signed Zay Jones. Not that Zay Jones has done a whole lot for this team.
You forget he's there, dude.
But dude, like it's just it's a lot of guys. It's a predominantly run first offense. They're not exactly targeting Greg Dortch a whole bunch. It just sucks he lost to a numbers game. I think he's very capable. I like what he does when he has the ball in his hands. And we talked about receivers getting separation a little bit earlier, Richie. Good.
I was looking at the Seahawks stats.
Clowns.
I was like, where the hell is Dortch?
Welcome to the clown show. Welcome to the circus, everybody.
Well, my hair is not nearly as red as yours is. So 25 catches, 193 yards, and a touchdown. So there you go.
All right, man. We pulled up the injury report. Close this out. We're going to talk about what the Cardinals need to do in order to get a win over the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to pull up the stats from last game really quick before we get into the nitty gritty. Richie, I don't feel like there needs to be a whole lot of analysis. We know who the Cardinals are. We know who the Seahawks are. I do think playing them the second time in 3 weeks will help.
Yeah,
a lot,
that's a really important thing to remember too, is when you're coming off a loss against a team you just saw, there's a lot more, not just motivation, but the recency that's there to remember, hey, this is exactly how they beat us. It's not like with the Rams, who you played in week 2, and now you play them at the end. That's their last game, right? Second to last game. Second to last game. They're a night and day
different team than when you lost Album too.
Exactly. Compared to this Seattle team that you saw 3 weeks ago, you know what to expect. They haven't changed that much. So it is a really good thing for the Cardinals to remember as they go into this game.
Yeah, I do want to highlight Brian's comment too. If the defense can hold them 16, we better be able to win at home. That 16 involves the Kyler Murray pick six too. The Cardinals defense has done tremendous the last few weeks. I think with even more recent tape on the Seahawks, I do expect that to continue. I don't think that directly translates to a win at all because like division games are so tricky. And like Seattle's a good team, man. Like we need to stop pretending like the Seahawks are this like walkover team. The Cardinals just roll over. I do like the Cardinals' chances on Sunday. I do think they ultimately win. I can't see this Jonathan Gannon team in 2024 dropping 3 in a row like that.
No.
We've seen crazier things any given Sunday. You know it. What they need to do though, Richie, I feel like are 2 very, very simple things. One, reestablish the run game, because the last time you saw them, they held James Conner to 8 yards on 7 attempts. Your leading rusher Trey Benson had 18 yards rushing. Like your offense fully functions on being able to establish the run and get things going through to play action and bring the defense deep into the box and just popping the ball over their head. If you don't do that, you find yourself in a lot of second and third long scenarios where it's an obvious passing down. Defenses are able to pin their ears back and get to you. It's just a lose-lose for the Cardinals. And for a second-year offensive coordinator like Drew Petzing, who does struggle to adjust and adapt during a lot of the games that we have seen, it's not exactly a winning formula.
No. To the point of the run game, that was the game, 14 carries, 49 yards. DeMercado had a carry that went 14 yards. So you had 13 carries for 35 yards in that game. That absolutely cannot happen again. Like, you need to be closer to 100 yards, first of all, but you need to be a lot better than under 3 yards per carry. That was one of the biggest reasons the Cardinals lost that game. Not just the pick six, not just the bad play from Kyler Murray, but the inability to move the ball on the ground was one of the things that doomed this football team. It's 2024, almost 2025, and the running game is reintroducing itself to the importance of an NFL offense. This was a perfect example because Kyler threw 285 yards in that game. It wasn't an issue going through the air. It was the fact that they weren't a balanced offense, which is part of what kept them out of the end zone in that game.
Yep. And speaking of being out of the end zone, like the Cardinals had over 400 yards of offense against Minnesota. Like if they're moving the ball, they can move the ball. It's just that when push comes to shove and defenses tighten up near the goal line. And it's so weird because like I think before the bye week, weren't they like 16 for 16 in goal to go scenarios? Like they did not have a problem at all finding the red zone. And then out of the bye week, I don't know what happened. I really don't, but they've been a shell of them former selves. I do think we did see them take a step from the Seattle to the Vikings game, but we need to see them take another step and beat the Seahawks on Sunday. So I think getting themselves going, and Brian does bring up a good point. Seattle's going to try to stop Connor until we prove we can beat it. It's what they did. If it ain't broke, why fix it? I agree, but
Yeah. Tell Kyler,
if the Cardinals know it's good for them, Richie, they're in that film room and they're going to say, look, we cannot have this happen again. Let's go back. Let's watch it. Let's figure out what we can do. And then let's play our brand of football, because it's so often do teams find themselves losing football games because they get away from their identity. But also, on the other hand, you need to be versatile. You need to be adaptable. If the Cardinals need Kyler Murray to throw for 400 yards to win a game, that's what they got to do. They have to be able to do it. And if you get into the postseason, you get yourself in a playoff game, and you find yourself on the road, or, well, they would be at home, but you find yourself against another tough defense like the Packers. If they have a rematch with the Packers, Green Bay is going to look at what they did against them in Lambeau and try to replicate that blueprint again. Like, you need to find different ways to win. It is what it is.
Yep. Last month of the year, or the last month we just played, I mean. So from November 3rd to this past Sunday, how many touchdown passes has Kyler Murray thrown 4 games?
I'll go 2.
You're a smart man. How many interceptions does he have?
3.
3? Can you not cheat?
Am I right?
Yes. 2 touchdown passes, 3 interceptions. He is averaging probably about 240 passing yards a game, but he's not getting in the end zone. And he remains high completion percent. He's got to be damn near 70% because there is a 91% completion game in there. But
he has one of the best QBRs of all quarterbacks in the season. Like, I know Kyler, there's been points
74.8 quarterback.
Can play better, where he
Dude,
can play better.
You just need him to score more touchdowns for you. That's another big factor here. And that's one of the reasons that the Kyler criticism is louder than it has been all year, is because in these close games, he hasn't been able to get into the end zone. And it's not all on him. Some of it's play calling. Some of it's receivers not being open or catching passes that they need to catch.
But see,
it does fall on Kyler too.
I also think he's risen to the occasion when they've needed him to, because like during that 4-game winning streak,
yeah,
like he's led numerous drives where they just needed the field goal to win, and he did exactly that. I said this after, I think, the Seahawks or the Vikings game, and probably after the Vikings game. I ramble and talk so much gibberish I don't remember sometimes. But if I'm Jonathan Gannon, I take Drew Petzing, I take Kyler Murray, I lock him in a room, and I say, figure it out. I don't know who holds what percentage of the blame. I don't know who exactly is 100% accountable. Figure it out. Figure it out, because we are too talented of a team right now. Right. Yes, we exceeded expectations. Yes, we weren't supposed to be in this position right now, but we are. And we are too talented of a football team to crumble in the fashion like we are currently doing. Figure it out.
Figure it out. Here's a box of scraps. Build me an Iron Man armor. Let me know if you get that reference.
I think it's a Marvel reference.
I thought it was Dune. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't really watch horror movies, so
I'm being for real. Okay, you're not.
Yes, it's for. I just said Iron Man. I thought I was messing around about the gingers not having good hearing. Is that seriously a thing?
I cannot wait to see you tomorrow morning. I hope you know.
Oh, dude, we're gonna fight.
Oh yeah, I cannot.
I can't wait. Good luck in your fight, though.
Yeah, good luck in yours. Do you have anything else to say? Anything to close with before we get out of here?
No, so it's do or die time, like we've said throughout this episode of are we SI Cardinals right now?
Cardinals on SI.
Cardinals on SI. This is do or die time. It is a home game. Tickets are as low as $64. I know that's not cheap. If you go to certain apps like I don't know, Game Time, and use a promo code Locked On College, you can get $20 off the purchase. But the serious point is, find a way to get there and support this team. This is one of the most pivotal games that the Cardinals have had all year, and one of the most important games in the last 2 to 3 seasons. What is
Brian, I love you, brother. Keep preaching. Also, I've never had a bad day when Hank Hill's been in the chat. I'm just saying.
No,
I've
you know what,
never,
Brian? I hope you never get the jersey.
I've never had a bad day when Hank Hill's been in the chat. Let's fucking go, Bird Gang. I agree. Oh, this is the best day of my life.
Roll the
This
tape.
is tremendous.
Roll the tape. You know what? Next time I don't know. Maybe I'll wear a suit or a bro tank or I don't know. But now I'm mad. Thanks, Brian. I thought this whole time you were on my team and you just flipped it on me.
No.
So I'll remember that.
I mean, must-win game, and we're getting to the time where the time for talk is almost over. Like the Cardinals can say they take it 1 week at a time. They can also acknowledge it's a big game. Seahawks know it's a big game. The time for talk is almost over. We are almost there for game time, and we will have everything covered at so.com/NFL/Cardinals. It's a very, very big weekend for Arizona sports. Arizona State go Sun Devils tomorrow in the Big 12 championship game. Me and Richie will be watching it together, so I hope everybody's able to enjoy that game, 10 a.m. Arizona time. Then obviously Sunday, big game at State Farm Stadium. I can't remember if it's a 2:05 or 2:25 kickoff, but a lot of season-defining games this weekend. Hopefully both home teams come out with a win. But all that being said, for Richie Bradshaw. Yep. Okay. Thank you.
2:05 kickoff.
Follow Richie on Twitter at RichieBrads36. Follow me on Twitter at Don and Drew. And guys, thank you so much. It's been a wonderful Friday evening. Appreciate you taking your time out of your Friday to come hang with two goofballs over a podcast. So much appreciated. Thank you so much. And we will catch you guys next time.